folks, Rob Daniels here for the movie, TV, and video game soundtrack program Visions in Sound. I can be found every Saturday morning, 12 to 2 a.m. on FM 98.5, and if you miss the show, which, hey, does happen, you can find me on my website, visionsinsound.ca. This week, well, continuing story of Visions in Sound, of course, but this week's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and it's kind of a neat challenge at the same time. I'm going to be talking about the 1956 film Forbidden Planet. Why is it a challenge, you say? Well, it has what could be considered the first electronic score in a film. Now, back in 56, it was ineligible for Oscar consideration, or ineligible to be, something weird like that, so it had to be called, weirdly enough, electronic tonalities, which makes sense, because that's what it was, but at the same time, it's interesting that it couldn't be considered music. It would not be until a number of years later when the Moog synthesizer and other synthesizers, and of course, we're talking about the themes to Doctor Who, and many other themes that would come out, that this electronic music started to be taken seriously. And so for me, this is kind of it's going to be interesting to try and tack down how this all works. All right, so let me just say, why not have a quick listen to the opening titles of the sorry, I'm using quotes here, air quotes, which is maybe not fair, because this is music. It's just an unusual form of music. Have a listen to the opening titles to Forbidden Planet by Louis and Bebe Barron. See what I mean? This is going to be a hard one to peg down. And in a lot of cases, you get stuff that is... Was it hard to listen to? Yeah, kind of hard to listen to at the time. So yeah, I was unaware of this, but there was in fact a rejected score for Forbidden Planet. It was by composer David Rose. If I'm able to track down a quick copy of the rejected score, I'll play it, and you can have a listen. So there you go. There's a little bit of the rejected score to Forbidden Planet. Now, Louis and Bebe Barron, I think, are pioneers when it comes to electronic scores. I mean, I know there's probably a lot of experimentation going on at that time, but these were the first ones that kind of had their work legitimized on the big screen. It's interesting to note that Louis and Bebe Barron basically created this score using electronic circuits and that sort of thing. It's very cool. Now, this was a technique that, you know, I mean, you would have later on the like I said, the Moog synthesizer. So you'd have the BBC Workshop with the likes of Delia Derbyshire and her work on Doctor Who and the Tomorrow People and so on and so forth. So there's all of that came out kind of around this time. But it was that first jumping off point for electronic scores. Forbidden Planet is the one. Now, it's interesting to note, have a listen to some of the other tracks on here. At one point, there's actually, if I recall correctly, one of the circuits is actually truly dying. So that's the sound it was making. Have a listen, and we'll be back to discuss a little bit more about Forbidden Planet. I also can't forget in all of this the technical achievement of Robbie the Robot. And he would become quite a star from then on, showing up in a lot of different sci-fi stuff, including the likes of The Twilight Zone and, of course, Lost in Space. He would have his own kind of presence for many, many years. So there's that. And of course, the cast of Forbidden Planet, which includes Walter Pidgeon, Anne Francis, Leslie Nielsen. These people were very, very important. in the likes of science fiction. I mean, the fact that they had to censor at that time Anne Francis's the mini skirts. I mean, this was years before the mini skirt became popular, and I think it was Spain that actually banned the movie for a number of years because of the shortness of Anne Francis's skirt. I find that hilariously funny. This is Leslie Nielsen's first major role, and he takes it very seriously. Now you can see the Star Trek influence here. I mean, sorry, you can see the influence, that Forbidden Planet had on Star Trek. I mean, Gene Roddenberry says so much as that Forbidden Planet was a huge influence on how Star Trek turned out. You know, the terminology, that kind of stuff. It just perfectly made sense. And I mean, the era fits. So, I mean, 10 years, you see the film, and, 10 years later, suddenly Star Trek shows up on the scene. I won't say similar looking kind of things. So I would lump Forbidden Planet in with the likes of The Day the Earth Stood Still and This Island Earth and that kind of thing when it comes to science fiction. So yeah, fun movie. Interesting concept, because essentially it is a take on Shakespeare's Tempest, but in a very sci-fi way, I guess you could say. So with that in mind, so folks, like, share, and subscribe, and comment. I'd really like to hear some comments as well about the different electronic scores that you like, whether you think that what Louis and Bebe Barron did was music, or was it just, as a lot of people put it, just noise in that case. And if you're interested in any of the film, television, or video game music that I do play on my show, by all means, give me a tune into my show every week, 12 to 2 a.m. on FM 98.5. You can also find me on my website, visionsinsound.ca. I am also on Blue Sky these days, at visionsinsound.bsky.social. You can also find me on GoodPods, a downloadable app for your phone or other type devices, and I can also be found on many of the other podcatchers out there, including the likes of Apple Music. So folks, we all have that inner id.
What is the id? Id.
It's an obsolete term. I'm afraid once used to describe the elementary basis of the subconscious mind.
But if you're having problems, by all means, please contact 911 for immediate help. Dial or text 988 for the Suicide Crisis Helpline. You can also try 1-844-HERE-247 and HERE247.ca. They all offer ways of getting help if you or someone you know may be suffering from mental health issues. Well, there you go, folks. Get out there and listen to some fantastic scores, some interesting scores, because there are composers out there that are worthy of your time. So folks, let me leave you with this. Have yourself a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
I rarely use it myself, sir. It promotes rust.